Alright, so this is yet another experiment. What we are going to do today is cyclic voltammetry. Now let's worry about, or CV as a matter of fact, let's worry about this cyclic part later, but let's try to see what voltammetry is. In very simplistic terms, you change potential, right, and see what it does to the current of the solution, right. You apply a potential difference voltage and see what changes happen to the current, right. Now cyclic would mean you increase, step up the voltage, then you go back, right, something like this. If I have voltage on y-axis and time on x-axis, you wait a bit, you step it up, you come down like this. You ramp up the voltage and then you come back, right. Because of this, what happens, let me get some space for you. You see what is effect on the current when you change this potential, what you had made change over here, right. Now the direct correlation between voltage and current is, if voltage increases, current increases, right. So when the voltage is constant, your current should be constant, something like this, and then it increases, it should increase, and then after some time it tails off, it levels off over here, right. I'll come back to this part, like why it levels off in a second, right, and then it reverses. Somewhat like this, right. This is what we call as the voltammogram, right. A graph between current and voltage, you call it as a voltammogram. Okay. Now point is, as I said, why it levels off here, why it doesn't keep going up as the voltage, is just because you have to think in terms of the reaction happening at the electrode, right. The electrode reactions saturates, right. Saturates as in, if let's say you have some reduction happening, let's say some metal N plus and electrons is giving you a metal, and let's say some reduction is happening at the anode, the reduction is happening at the cathode, my apologies. So what is happening, to begin with, this electrode, when applied to some voltage, right, it will see a potential difference, and then lot many ions, the Mn plus, will get reduced to form metal ion. Now as the reaction progresses, let's call it with a purple color. Is it visible, this purple color? Right? Yes. So you will have more and more reduced metal getting deposited onto the surface, and this will prevent other metal ions to come and get reduced, right. Even if you increase the concentration, the diffusion is slow over here, right. The diffusion of those those ions is slow. Like, how do you understand that? The diffusion speed, how do you define it? The diffusion speed is nothing, is U times electrode potential, the potential, the voltage what you apply, and this U is ion mobility. Now this depends upon the kind of solvent you use, the viscosity factor, right, and also the charge on the ions, right. Those kind of factors are responsible. Now this ionic speed is directly proportional to the voltage, right, but at some point of time this diffusion becomes slower because of this deposition, and that's why these things gets leveled off, right? And then when you reverse the reaction, reverse the voltage, your current also changes towards the reduction stuff. This is side, you say it's going up is oxidation, and if it's coming down, it's reduction. That's easy to understand. That's the oxidation process, that's the reduction process, what's happening, right? Now, what are we going to do today? We are going to see a very standard system of ferrocyanide and ferricyanide, right? Let's write CV again. So we have ferrocyanide, right? And let me write one more time. This is 6 negative, right? And this is 6 negative as well, so we have to counterbalance it. Now if this iron is in +3 state, it's ferricyanide. This iron, if it is in +2 state, it is ferrocyanide. So how many more to be balanced? 2 taken care by F, so it has to be K4. The potassium salt of iron cyanide. Here it is +3, then K3, right? 3 taken care of like this. Now you can see there can be a change in the oxidation state of this iron, right, by applying a potential difference across it, right? And this is what we are going to study using cyclic voltammetry. That's the experiment is all about, right? Now what we are going to do today is a conventional cyclic voltammetry, right, which typically has like few millivolts per second of voltage being applied, right? You also have the concept of fast scan cyclic voltammetry, where you have hundreds of volts going through the solution per second. But we are doing the conventional cyclic voltammetry, or just said as cyclic voltammetry, right? What is the kind of system or the setup, not the system, the setup we have for cyclic voltammetry? It's a 3 electrode system, right? We have a working electrode. You denote it by a disc like this. Then you have the reference electrode. Let's call it as the working electrode, WE. Then you call as the reference electrode. You denote it by an arrow like this, right? Now, from our basic electrochemistry, we know that we cannot measure the cell potential of one electrode. You need to have a reference electrode. In normal case, what do? We have the normal hydrogen electrode, which has its value as 0, right? If you want to, you can have the normal hydrogen electrode being added, right? Used over here, but we use typically we use is silver chloride reference electrode. That's quite conventional, right? And it works for majority of the cases. That's A, not P, right? Let me write this A nicely. Okay. Now, where comes the concept? If I have the potential difference across the reference electrode and working electrode, right? How can I change the voltage? Remember, we have to change voltage anyways, right? There comes the part of the third electrode, the auxiliary electrode, or the counter electrode, as it is known as, right? For our purpose for today, this will be a platinum disc. What we are going to use, let's write as platinum, right? That's silver chloride, I wrote already. Now this is going to be your platinum wire. Yeah, there are more electrodes there in our stock. We are going to show you those electrodes. We have the gold one and also the glassy carbon. Yes, all of those kind of things are available, but we are going to use for today's experiment the platinum as the working electrode. Why platinum? Right? Now the point is, why platinum? Now platinum, first of all, what kind of electrode can be a working electrode? Now if again we have x-axis as the voltage, right, and y-axis as the current, if you would see, and we are working at pH 7.0, all our solutions will be made in water, so at neutral pH. At neutral pH, for platinum, what happens if you have say 0.7 negative, it goes like this, the reduction potential. What kind of reaction happens here? So your water will take 2 electrons and will liberate out hydrogen plus 2 times OH minus. That's the reduction happening at 0.7. Let me write it properly. 0.7 negative. Alright. Now here on the positive side at plus 1.0, your current again starts changing, and the kind of reaction what we will have will be water will be liberating oxygen. Oxidation is happening, right? Oxidation is happening. Okay. Plus protons and electrons, of course, they will be liberated out. This region between 0.7 and 1.0, this is where my electrode is non-polarizable, right? So I have got a window between minus 0.7 to 1.0 at pH 7.0, right? It's quite some range which I have got. That's why platinum. Okay, that's why platinum. So in the just for your information, one more thing which I wanted to say. A typical voltammogram, if you see the literature, there are 2 different kinds of conventions what you will see. One you will see is the IPAC convention, and other you will say is the US convention or the Texas convention as it is known as. So of course in both of them the voltages are on the x-axis and the current is on the y-axis. It's just the directionality is changed. For IPAC the positive is here. Let me see if I am writing it right. Okay, yes. And then negative is on this side. Right, for the current is positive up and negative on this end. Right, whereas in the US convention it is negative on this side, positive on that side, or if you see it's negative on the upside for the current. Yeah, that's my current, that's my voltage. Here again it's my current, it's my voltage, and the positive on the downside, right? So if you see any data, it is extremely important to keep this thing in mind before you start making your conclusions, right? Now let's stick to some IPAC convention. Now what all kind of information you can get from the curve if you get, right? Suppose that's the kind of stuff, the axis what you have got, voltage, current, let's label them, and this is the kind of probably the curve you might get. something like this, right? That's the anodic part, because the oxidation is happening over there. Let's say that's the peak maxima. We call it as the peak cathode or peak anodic, and it is oxidation happening. And this is like your probably, so that's your peak cathode or reduction is happening, right? Now the midpoint between the two, right, roughly this one and this one, you can call it as the delta E cell for any new electrode. Now why it is important? For our stuff it has been optimized so very well, it doesn't matter, but for any new electrode or the material for which you are wanting to do, finding out the value of E cell will be extremely important, right? So that's how cyclic voltammetry is really a beautiful technique to characterize your material, right? To study the oxidation reduction potential and whatnot, an electrochemist can find more applications out of it. Now what we are going to do? We are going to do a couple of things today. First, for the demonstration thing, we are going to show all the ferricyanide solutions. They are nice and colored, camera friendly, right? But we are also going to give you the data for the ferrocyanide, which is colorless. Yeah, as you would see in the next video, the next part of this video. So what we are doing, first we are going to do the scan speed. For any new compound, you first have to optimize the scan speed, like how fast you are going to scan through, how many millivolts per second you are going to scan through, so that you get the complete voltammogram. Okay, that is the first part. This is the first thing what we are going to do for a ferricyanide solution, 1 millimolar ferricyanide solution. Then if you would see your voltage, right, your current is directly proportional to your voltage, right? And in voltammogram, if you would see, you will see, you should see the heightening of the peaks. The peaks are becoming bigger and bigger. After a certain point, they should start coming closer and closer because of the electrode saturation. If you want to continue doing this, work with a bigger electrode. But for a given surface area of an electrode, you will attain saturation here as well. Okay, now this is like the function of concentration. Different concentrations what you will see. Again, this is your voltage, that's your current, what you will measure. Of course, I am not drawing the complete voltammogram, the cyclic voltammogram, just for the clarity's sake. This is the first half. It should come for every curve back here as you would plot it yourself. All the raw data will be provided to you. And this is the direction where we are going to increase the concentration. Let me write with a different color. Let me make it a bit dark. So here we are going to increase the concentration. We are going to make those kind of concentration profiles for both ferricyanide and ferrocyanide, right? And what is expected? We are then going to do some unknown samples. Now what are those unknown samples? We have the ferricyanide and the ferrocyanide mixed in different ratios, right? Question to you is, can you make use of these calibration plots, what has been provided to you, and tell it to us what kind of ratios we had mixed ferrocyanide and ferricyanide. We have three solutions. You will call them as unknown 1, unknown 2 and unknown 3. Are they visible, Rupesh? Yes? So we have three unknown samples. Even I don't know what ratio they had been mixed, right? So I cannot even tell you. Now for doing all of those things, again, as I always tell in my videos, it's a teamwork, right? So it's going to be Sonali for me as a very nice helping hand. That's Sonali for you.
Hello everyone.
Right? And that's Rupesh. He's going to turn around and show himself. Yes. Without this team, we cannot work. It's all about the teamwork. Now for this experiment, we have to go to the other instrumentation room. So rest of the video will follow over there. Okay, so that's, can you come a bit closer? There is a lot of background noise here, so let's not have it. So this is the basic setup. A very simple black box, what you would see here is our cyclic voltammetric instrument. And as I said, it's a 3 electrode system, right? Sonali, which is our reference electrode?
This white wire, this is reference electrode.
Right, which is the working one?
Working is green.
Green, and that's the counter electrode, yes. Right? Now, as I said in my previous lecture, without counter electrode, you won't be able to change the potential, right? So it is very essential if you are wanting to change the potential and see the effect of current as you vary it, right? Okay, so can you turn on the machine, please? Okay, nothing very fancy, one button and your machine is on. Can you fire up the software? I'll leave these electrodes here for a minute.
This is the software which we are going to use for this instrument. So it is directly asking us the technique, but we will not do the technique first. First we will do a hardware test.
Okay, so that is to ensure, right? So we are ensuring that the connectivity is established between our software and the machine. It's ready. It says okay. Yeah, all channels are okay. It's nicely established, so we are good to go. Right? Can you blow up the screen so that it is better? Yeah, it's a full screen mode. A lot better. And see what we have here for the experimentation. First thing, as I said, we have to optimize the scan speed, right? To optimize the scan speed for both ferricyanide and ferrocyanide, we have 1 millimolar solution here. So that's the ferrocyanide and the ferricyanide. Now I think for the demo purpose we will stick with ferricyanide. It's nice and colored for the camera friendly color. It's quite colorless, the ferrocyanide, so let's not show for the demo purpose. Let's stick to something colored. It looks good. So we are first going to optimize the scan speed, right? So 1 millimolar ferricyanide. Yes, so there we have this 1 millimolar ferricyanide. And now these are the connections, right, with which you are going to connect those electrodes and counter electrodes and the working electrodes. But how they actually look like, can we have a look? Right, this is the platinum working electrode, right? And if you would see here, can you zoom in here? It's a 3 electrode system here, right? One slot will be for the working, one for the reference, one for the counter. Now can I open the working electrode first?
Yes.
You can open them in any order, doesn't matter, as long as when you dip it in the solution they have to be there. So this is how it looks like, and the electrode is very likely, it's not likely, it is hidden behind this cover. Let me show them. See? Nice. Right. So what is it?
Platinum.
Yeah, that's a platinum. Right. I'm going to put this cover in this box only. So what we just put in over there is this platinum working electrode. Okay. So let's put it aside. What is the next one? That's the platinum wire, which we are going to use it for the as a counter electrode, right? So let me show it to you again. Can you see this wire over here? again, can you please put it over there? Okay. Third slot, the reference electrode, right? This is silver chloride reference electrode, right? Now, as I said in my lecture also, you cannot measure the absolute value of potential. You need some reference electrode to be measured so that you can measure the potential difference. Okay, so this is like silver chloride reference electrode which we are going to use for this experiment. Okay. So I am opening it up, take it out, very delicate, so you have to be very careful when you are using it. Yeah, it's stored in potassium chloride solution, right? What is the concentration of potassium chloride you use, Sonali?
0.1 molar.
0.1 molar. So always store your reference electrode in potassium chloride, 0.1 molar. Okay, so now our setup is done. So we have a 3 electrode, right? Counter electrode, working electrode, and the reference electrode. Can you do the connection now? Or first you want to dip it in the solution?
Dip.
We'll first dip it in the solution, all the 3. Right. What's the solution in which we are dipping?
1 millimolar
1 millimolar
ferricyanide.
ferricyanide. And what we are going to do, we are going to optimize the scan rates. Right. Okay. For any unknown sample, you would start off doing like this. You have to first optimize a good scan rate in which you will be doing all the measurements. Yes. There you. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Let me hold it for you. Yeah. That's the crocodile clip. Yeah. There another crocodile opens its mouth. And that's the third one. This is our working electrode, right? Okay. Let crocodile have a bite. It does, right? So we have, repeat again. That's the working electrode, counter electrode, and the reference electrode, right? Okay. Now, we are not going to do anything from this hardware. We are going to control everything with our software, right? So now can you come here, Rupesh? You have to now focus more on the screen, whatever we are going to do now. Sure. Okay, so we are going to
First we have to select the technique.
right select the technique.
Our technique for today's experiment is cyclic voltammetry.
Right, and see, it can do many things. Out of all of these different kinds of voltammetries, we are going to do this cyclic voltammetry, right?
Okay. Then we have to set a parameter.
Okay, so now we are going setting up the parameter for doing the scan speed, checking the scan speed. Yes,
So we will keep initial as 0.8,
0.8.
high as 0.8,
Yes,
low as minus 0.2,
right,
and final will be same as
Right.
initial as 0.8.
right. So see, these are the values which has been inputted, which is good for the platinum electrode in which it is non-polarizable, right? So it is minus 0.7 to 1.0. So we have, that's the window in which you work with platinum electrode. Okay.
And scan rate we have kept as 20 millivolts.
20 millivolts per second, right?
Yes, per second.
That's per second.
Let's
And
start.
yeah, let's start. Okay, let's see what do we get. So some curve is coming. It's good. It's good. Going good so far. Quite flat though. Still going on. Going on. And we actually had done multiple scan speeds, right, Sonali?
Yes, sir.
So those data will be made available in the Google, the link provided in the YouTube video, the Google Drive link we'll be sharing. See, now you can see a dip. Yeah, it's nice. It's good to see a nice curve coming. So it's nice. Yes, we had approached till the end, and now we are coming back. Right, we are coming back. Flat so far, quite flat. It's good. Now anytime it should start going up. There you can see it is slowly going up, right? Slowly going up and down. So it has gone in the one cycle, gone down, and then in the reverse cycle it is coming up. Yeah. So this scan optimization, the scan speed optimization, is extremely important. For every unknown compound you should do that. You have to give ample time for the electrode reaction to happen. Now it's done. Can you just show it onto the curve with the y-axis optimized? There it is, right? There it is. Now for demonstration, can you show them one of the fastest scan what you had done? Yes?
Sure, sir.
So we already had done like 4 or 5 scans for you, scan speed, so that you can plot it yourself and have a feel for what if you just change the scan speed, then what happens?
So
how much it is?
0.5.
0.5, which happens to be 500 millivolts per second, right? Remember, it was 0.02 in the previous one, and this is like, whoa, it's done. Oh my god, in a blink of an eye it's finished. But then you compromise on the quality, right? And this is what I expect you people to do, is to plot those different scan speeds and see it for yourself where a good quality voltammogram or cyclic voltammogram you get. Only at that particular scan speeds you are going to work forward. Okay. Now we had found that the different scan speeds what we had done, we are going to work with 20 millivolts per second. That's scan speed. Now we are going to now do the concentration dependent, and as I said, we are going to stick to the ferricyanide solutions, right? Now let me change some space so that Sonali can come here and work with this system, right? Okay, so she is back over here. You can show it, Rupesh, what Sonali is doing. She is taking out all those electrodes, and we have to put the 1 millimolar. Yes.
So
Can you show the concentration on the beaker? Yeah, 1 millimolar we had done already. Yes. So this is the 2 millimolar solution what we are going to use. So now it's the same ferricyanide, so you can just drain off all the solutions. You can avoid the washing part.
Yes.
You can fill it up with 2 millimolar. Yeah, so we already had done a measurement at 20 millivolts per second, right, previously, so it's okay. Yeah, so I'm showing you again the concentration. That's 2 millimolar ferricyanide. I move this beaker aside. So all the 3 electrodes are over there. So you have to be a bit careful not to bang those electrodes onto the bottom of that bottle. Yes, okay. Now again, set up parameters. This is what you have to change, right? 0.02. That's 20 millivolts, right? Okay. And say stop. Again. Now see, you might not be able to feel the difference of the peak height here, because we are doing one graph at a time, right? One measurement at a time. Previously we had done 1 millimolar ferricyanide. Now we are doing 2 millimolar ferricyanide. Yeah, unless and until you overlay them, you won't get that feel of what happens as a function of concentration. Now scan speed has been optimized. Now you won't see much of a difference in the peak profile. Yeah, the scan profile you won't see, except for the depths and the troughs. Yeah, the depths and the heights of this voltammogram. Okay, we are going back now, right? It's going, it should start going up any moment now. That's what we hope. Yes, and it doesn't fail us. It's good. Yeah, looks like a good graph to me, right? That's 2 millimolar ferricyanide, right? And likewise all the measurements will be done on ferrocyanide also, 1 millimolar, 2 millimolar, 3 millimolar, 4 and 5 millimolar. I'll show you those different concentrations in a bit, right? And of course the raw data will be made available in the link below the video. Yeah, okay, there you see. Now I'm not sure if you will be able to appreciate, but I think this has gone a little bit up. It's more steeper. Hope that if we will do it with 3 millimolar, things will be more evident.
We can show that, but we'll show it later. First, let's save this file.
Yes, let's save it.
Let's make a new folder.
Yeah, make today's date 31st of August. Yes, we are doing it. Okay. She's managing the data well.
This is 2 millimolar.
Yeah, that's 2 millimolar. Okay.
We have to save this as CSV.
CSV, so it's good. So you can plot it in whatever plotting software you want.
Also, we will save as bin also. So the graph will be there.
Okay. So the binary file you want to save? Yes. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Graph. So the different formats are available, but I think the CSV should do the trick. Okay. Can we change the solution? See, now we are going for, oh, I got this 5 millimolar. Should I give you 3 millimolar now?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the 3 millimolar. Can you see? We have these solutions in place. This is the beaker for 2 millimolar. You can pour it back. That's the good thing. It's a non-destructive technique, right? Non-destructive technique. At least for the reversible systems like this, right? Oh, nicely done. There you go. You are filling it up. Right. Okay. Are we good to go? So we are not changing any parameters. I just say start. Yeah. This button, run. Can you see? Run. If you just say run, it will run whatever you had entered previously. Or if you say run experiment, then it will go to ask for a method file what you might have created. That's a very typical thing what any instrument would do. Yeah, so going good so far. All fingers crossed that it shouldn't fail us. I hope not. It's a moment of truth for Sonali, whether she had made the solution right or wrong. right? Oh, at least it's ferricyanide, it's going down, it's good, and it looks steeper. Yeah, so looks like it's more concentrated. Yeah, but let's see. Yeah, and actually you should plot them, overlay them, and so that you can have a feel for what concentration does if you know uh, plot them as a function of concentrations. Yeah, whether they all overlap with each other or the peaks they go steeper. I think it is quite steep compared to what we have seen in 1 or 2 millimolar. It is definitely steeper, but we'll see in a minute so that you can appreciate. Almost done, almost done. Yeah, you had seen when we had done like 500 millivolts per second, the things were like going quite wonky on this side. Yes, it's done. So yes, it looks beautiful, isn't it? And then you say file, save as,
Yes.
save as 3 millimolar. She is extra cautious. Maybe she has lost a lot of data in the past. Yeah, that's how you learn. Yeah. Okay. Are we good? Two. See? Very clever. You are already already breaking the suspense. You could have let them plot it themselves, but any which ways, this blue one is 2 millimolar and red one is 3 millimolar. We are not going to overlay any one of them further, right?
Yes.
So 3, you have the beaker already. Okay, can we do the measurement for 4 millimolar now? That's why you are very keen on doing that binary mode graph. Huh? You can do overlay using that binary mode. Good. Right, so that's the 4 millimolar. Okay, I'm just handing it over. Yeah, so she's going to fill it up. Okay, dip it through, all the 3 electrodes go in. Yeah, and there it is. Okay, can I start again?
Yes.
Alright, that's the easy part. So she's doing the more of the hard work. So just clicking the button is quite some fun after the solution is gone in. Yes. Okay. Okay, doke. Yeah, it should start going down any minute now. We're almost there. Can you see it's diving into the x-axis? Wow, that's a steep dive. Quite some steep dive. Goes up. So what we claim that yes, these voltammogram have a concentration effect is true. Yes, you can pretty much see there is a substantial difference between in the peak heights, right, as you are changing the concentration of ferricyanide, right? There it is. Nice, really nice. Okay. Easy. Are you getting these graphs nicely on the Rupesh? Yes. Yeah. As we are doing our best to give you as clear video as possible. Yeah. Okay. Fine. We can save this file again. File save as. That's 4 millimolar, right? That's 4 millimolar. CSV format, yes. That's Excel compatible. Oh, where are you going? Right. You also want that bin to be done. Okay. So she wants it so that the overlay can be done. Graph 4. And we change the format to bin. That's the right format. Yes. Okay. Save. Okay. So that's the last concentration which we are going to do today. That's the 5 millimolar, right? Okay. Let me open it for you. We don't want anything to be dropped. Yeah, onto the computer. See, that's 5 millimolar, right? You got it, Rupesh? Yes, you got it. There it is. Right. Can I start it?
Yes.
Yes. We're just running it. The same parameter, right? So only the concentrations are the different, right? Okay. Now, I also want you to pay an attention like how these curves had started. They were more flatter before, and now they are starting with a bit of like this. Yes, that's a nice pointer from here. So they are a bit high, they were flatter with the smaller concentration here. Now it is diving into the potential axis here. See what a nosedive. It actually took a nosedive. Yeah, quite deep and steep. Alright. Without even analyzing the data, you can see the difference in the kind of dives these different solutions take. Alright. Okay. Steady, going up again. That's a big jump. Right. It's a big jump. Okay. A beautiful curve. Really a beautiful curve. Okay. Now after this experiment is done, I am going to show you the other electrodes what we have, so that you would see it's only the difference at the probe level. Okay, you can see it, but already you can appreciate the steepness, right? The y-axis are quite different. And let me save the data. Right, so it's a bin file. I'm going to save it as a 5 millimolar graph. Okay, in the CSV format as well, I will save it. So that's good. Yeah, So we forgot to say 1 millimolar, but doesn't matter, we can always measure it and the data will be made available to you. But I'm quite sure that you got an idea what we have to do. Now once we had done all of these concentrations for ferricyanide, now you would see we also have those concentrations made for ferrocyanide here. That's 1 millimolar ferrocyanide, that's 2 millimolar, yeah, it's visible, yeah, okay, 3 millimolar, right, 4 millimolar, like this, and this 5 millimolar ferrocyanide. Okay, once we had done this one, measurements for the 5 concentration of ferricyanide and ferrocyanide, the data is made available to you. What is expected? So we have made mixtures of ferricyanide and ferrocyanide. So we are calling it as unknown 1, yeah, unknown 1, unknown 2, and unknown 3, right? We really don't know in what ratio ferricyanide and ferrocyanide solutions are mixed in over here. We are going to make those measurements, and based on these independent measurements what we had done and what we will get for the mixtures, can you tell us in what ratio the two solutions, the ferricyanide and the ferrocyanide solutions, are mixed? Okay, these data will be made available to you, right? So we are not going to show you, we are going to do exactly the same, going to scan it at 20 millivolts per second, not going to change anything as far as the parameters goes, but the Excel format file, the raw data will be provided to you. Now your job is, can you tell us this unknown 1, unknown 2 and unknown 3, what are the different ratios in which the two solutions are being mixed? Can you just throw it away like this? Now before I stop this video, I would also like you to see the other electrodes, right? Can I have the which one are you showing? These are the two different electrodes what we have, right? This is the gold working electrode, right? Let me open it for you. So if you open it and take it out, right, remove the cover over here. See, it looks essentially the same as your platinum electrode. Difference is it's too tight and my hands are slipping. Can you remove? Okay, can you see the difference? Here is the gold. Can I have the platinum for the reference? Yeah, it's here. So Sonali is going to just remove the platinum electrode, right? She's going to clean it. See, the material is this small disc, right? This is what I had showed you in the diagram during the introduction, the disc shaped working electrode, right? Okay. And this is like the glassy carbon. Yes, that's the glassy carbon, like here. See, the difference is at the disc level, what you see here. From like this, if you see, you probably will not be able to distinguish which is what. It is only when you turn it over, that's your glassy carbon, that's your platinum, which we had just used, that's the gold electrode, right? Now depending upon the kind of system what you are working on, for platinum we have a range of 0.7 to 1, right? Likewise you have a range for every electrode, the working electrode, where these electrodes had to be non-polarizable. They shouldn't be oxidizing or reducing in the voltage range what you are applying, right? If they do that, then they are not good working electrodes, right? They shouldn't interfere. Once done, choosing a proper electrode, working electrode, what you have to use, then you can work with whichever electrode you want to work with, right? Okay. Now all the raw data will be made available to you, right? All your job is to analyze the data for the scan speed which we had used. Optimization of the scan speed is a must for any new electron, no, not electron, new experiment, my apologies. And then you have to see the concentration effect for yourself by overlaying all the different curves for ferrocyanide and ferricyanide. Then you have to tell us, based on your concentration curves, whether what's the ratio in which ferrocyanide and ferricyanide solutions have been mixed in unknown 1, unknown 2 and unknown 3 mixture, right? Okay, with this is me Avinash signing off with my friends from CBS. Bye.